are with the Omega Level Nerds. D Square. I don't know if he ever tells you to get in the chopper. Get in it now. Come kill me. I'm here. J100.
Her.
Yeah,
she
I
was.
can holler at her. I gotta fight Cyclops and Wolverine to get that Jean Grey. Never mind, forget all that. I'm gonna hit up.
Right, exactly.
Jelly Rose.
But I'm very, very looking forward to a Doctor Doom that does not suck. I'm actually looking forward to more figures since I do collect them.
And Volsker. Naked.
You know what's funny is I was about to say, could it be that Marvel Girl looks like she's trying to get Twitch viewers?
Yeah, exactly. Are gonna get real nerdy for you real nerds. Well, hello. Omega Level Nerd D Square here. Of course, I'm with the other Omega Level Nerds. We got J100, Volsker, and Jelly Rose with us. Great to be with you guys. We got some fun stuff to talk about, so let's get right into it. We've all seen the next episode of WandaVision, and it was just great. The veil has been lifted, and we now get some confirmations, some answers. It is all in a better context now. So let's start off with you, Jelly Rose. How did you like the episode?
Well, you know me, I loved it. You know, my girl doing whatever the hell she's doing. But of course, spoilers.
Yes.
It was very interesting because, you know, at the end of the last episode, we are kind of like wondering, like, you know, was that chick part of Sword? How'd she get in? What happened? You know, why did she remember, you know, Ultron? Because we're concerned and not really knowing what had happened to the town, how it got there.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of figured she captured the town at the end of the last episode, seeing we finally seen, you know, her get shoot out to know, okay, this is a town, it's not inside of a TV, it's not, you know, somewhere else. So we kind of got, you know, the backstory. And the first thing I want to say is it's not something I actually thought of when the blip happened and everybody came back, that,
Yeah.
you know, they were coming back exactly to the places and times of where they were. And as you've seen in the hospital, you know, she was waiting after her mother's surgery, and all of a sudden people are panicking because, you know, they're at overcapacity now because the hospital might have already been at capacity or close to capacity, and all these patients that were here years and years and years ago are suddenly all back, and they're like, what the fuck do we
It's
do?
like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Right, and that's not something you really thought of, you know, when the blip occurred, you know, watching the Avengers. You're just like, oh yay, everybody's back, happy time. You didn't think of all the actions that were in progress, or you know, people might have got blipped back into places to where, you know, it's dangerous for them now. Or
What about those were in planes that were crashing and shit? Like, what happened to them?
they probably just
Makes
fall
you
from
think.
the fucking sky. Now that you
Yeah.
say that, holy shit! You're like, okay, I'm like, holy fuck! I didn't think about that either. Or like somebody that was on a boat, or even a sub, or like
On a boat.
you know,
I'm on a boat.
imagine if you got blipped into somewhere that had a new building made, or you know,
Right.
that now is, you know, some sort of, you know, trash heap, or like something's there obstructing your way. Like, would you, you know, be on top of it, or would you be inside of it and like instantly die? Like,
Yeah.
those are like a lot of questions that I have now, because it's like,
Yeah. There's definitely
it's
some
just insane
tragedies.
thinking about.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
And
nuts.
it's obviously not something that's really been talked about or explained until this point, and you see the panic and you see everybody like freaking around in the hospital going, what's going on, and nobody's really
Yeah.
explaining it to those people either, like, hey,
Mhm.
your mom died 3
Yeah.
years ago, 2 years after you disappeared. And it was just kind of like, couldn't you explain this a little bit better? Couldn't you say, hey, there's some shit and a bunch of people disappeared like this
Yeah.
many years ago? Not be like, I feel like the doctor was just
Mhm.
didn't
Yeah.
deliver it very well. And it was like really odd how it was presented to her. Like, hey, not to panic, but this is what's going on. This is what's happening. Like, obviously, they had to have known that something happened to where everybody disappeared.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, because
I
like
don't understand the part.
Spider-Man kind of alluded to that, but they made it seem like everybody just was like, "Oh shit, what happened?" And they got that awkward moment. And then this, it's just like everybody reappearing. To your point, the doctor. I mean, in being, the son of a nurse and of going to medical school before, it could just be like they were trying to keep their mind rationalized. Like, look, here's the news you need to know. We can't talk about anything else because people are fucking going nuts in here.
But at
So
the
it was
same
just,
time, you don't want to ensue more panic either. You
yeah.
want to calm down the people. Like, okay, I know this is a lot to handle right now, but this is what has happened. This is
Mhm.
what is going on. Take this in a little bit and calm
Mm-hmm.
down. We got other shit to handle right now.
I wonder if it was because it was Monica, because then we go in after that to find out her backstory and Sword's backstory. So I wonder she was already established potentially at that point, so they knew that she could handle it, almost like a superhero, because she was working for a company that basically looks at space
Well,
shit. So
her
I mean, they did
mother.
call her boss lady a couple times in
Yeah.
that, and her mom being like you were about to say part of the shit too.
Mhm.
So
Right. Because then they
you
say
can't
that
forget
her
about
mom
that.
established it.
Yeah, her mom created Shield, is what or Sword.
Yeah, they showed that in the Captain Marvel movie. She was and her and Captain Marvel were tight. So yeah, she's definitely seemed like she was so well established, in that organization. So yeah, that you're right. I think that was a really interesting scene showing the just sheer panic of people just fucking reappearing where they were 5 minutes ago, on top of whatever
And
else is there now.
then you got to see that where the swarm of people around her came from is they ended up setting up a perimeter like we kind of thought.
Yeah.
And then I loved to see, is her name Darcy?
Darcy, I was waiting for it.
I
Yes.
freaking love her. She's just that
Uh,
you know I don't know how to explain it, but I just love
she's
her
a
personality.
spunky millennial that's always got a snarky comment to say. Yeah. Me
She's
and my
just like,
wife are not a fan, so we're kind of like,
She's great in the
oh,
Thor movie.
really?
Like she brings
we
that
didn't
like
think,
extra
yeah,
like
it just
She's like,
misses
I
me.
know what I'm doing and I'm trying to do my stuff. And you're being like a fucking asshole to me because you think I don't know how to do my stuff, but I'm
yeah.
doing the stuff and look, I solved the problem. Can
Like,
I
give me a
have coffee
goddamn
now?
coffee.
Ain't even get her no coffee.
Right? So then it's like, she helped do
Mm-hmm.
whatever, y'all needed and get the girl her damn coffee.
It's nice to see Wu too, because we haven't seen him since the Ant-Man movie.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we got to know why we were able to hear his voice in that one episode.
Yes, that was really cool. That was really, really cool. So you do mention Darcy, and like I said, personally, me, the wife, were like, oh, really? But you're right. She's the key. She is the key because she comes on scene. They don't know what's going on. These two sheriffs are like, Westview? What Westview? There's no Westview. And they're like, you mean the town? The one that's right there? That you
That
don't
was
know that
hilarious.
town? And they're like, nope, we're from Eastview. And like, okay. So So, but yes, Wanda has created this alternate reality in the form of a TV show that is progressing through the timeline, and this is all figured out by our character here, Darcy, from the Thor movies. She analyzes the situation. She finds basically evidence of the Big Bang, right? Like particles and shit that you would see in the Big Bang, which actually speaks to a really awesome power level on Wanda's part. But along with something that looked like a TV signal, lo and behold, she says, "Go give me an old fucking TV." They do, and we learn that she was the one that was watching that TV. And we also and so what they did that was so cool. God, God, great job. Whoever had and it's probably Feige, whoever had the balls to do this, to say, hey, for 3 episodes, they're not going to know what the fuck's going on. We experienced what Darcy experienced. Them watching the show, we watched the show. So we did the same thing that they did. So that was really cool.
Mhm.
You have to go
Oh,
through
yeah.
3 episodes of not knowing what the fuck's going on, and now we do know, and it's really cool. We know why she saw that drone. That was a sword drone, although it was changed a little bit.
Beekeeper.
The beekeeper. So we now understand all of that, and then yes, and they figured out that they could actually communicate to a radio inside, and so they did that, and that's what we heard. Wanda, who's doing to you is Wanda. So that's great. All of that is awesome. What do we think about, were you scared with the zombie vision? Remember that scene? That was kind of freaky.
I want to say that was one of my theories. When you see zombie vision, it's like she fucking took his corpse and reanimated it, and
Mhm.
that is probably what we're seeing right here. Because before it's like, okay, did she make her own version of it? Did she
Right.
take his corpse and reanimate it? Like, what is vision? Is what we were wondering last week. Like, he kind of has his own thing. He has his own intelligence and things like this. What he's his own being. What did she
Mhm.
do?
Mhm.
She done fucked up. She done took his
Yeah.
corpse and
Animate
like
dead.
did
Necromancer style.
Oh,
some
has she done
voodoo
that
shit to
before?
She has. We talked about that.
Either
Millions of
that or maybe it was like a flashback to when he died. But no, she probably drug his corpse over there like a weirdo.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
I
wild.
actually, yeah, I thought that too, Jay. I thought it was more of a vision of, no pun intended, vision that she had a vision back when he died. But Jelly, I think that could be kind of more fucked up if but it would stand to reason she would actually need his body. So, wow.
I kind of agree with Jelly on that for a couple reasons. For example, going back to like the beekeeper, the helicopter, everything is painted in the way she wants it to be painted.
Yeah.
But if you notice, when she shot Monica out, she was looking at her hands like she didn't know that she had that kind of power. Because
Right.
everything she's been doing so far in the show is just like levitating, making stuff appear. She was like
Yeah.
staring at the actual magic. And I can't remember what they're called, but then she blasted and so I think things are starting to crack in her no pun intended vision, and she's starting to see things like actually like, oh shit, things are not the way that I'm making them be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
that's
she
when
seemed kind of panicked at the
yeah.
holes that she made from blasting her, and it was kind of like, because what is their magic called, like hex magic or something?
In the comics, it's hex magic, but
Yes.
in
I couldn't remember.
MCU, that has not been confirmed. It's not, well, in the MCU, it has not been confirmed as hex magic or magic at all.
What?
Although I think one thing we'll find out through this show is that it is a mutant ability.
I have a theory.
Okay.
I hope this becomes true. So in the beginning of the show, a couple things. You notice how they were talking about space exploration and things out in space that they have to keep an eye. What if Sword creates the Fantastic Four?
Yeah, that would definitely, that could definitely happen. Absolutely.
because as soon as I heard, I was like, they're talking about astronauts and
Yeah.
space exploration. This is perfect. Like, this is just a strand that they just need to grab onto. That would explain completely how to bring them in and not just like shoehorn them.
And
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
how the Fantastic Four gained their powers, was that, you know, all 5 of them were up in a space station and they got hit with something.
they got hit with just, radiation, up in space and
And
receive their
you know,
powers.
maybe Victor works for them, or maybe he gets hired as like a supervisor. Like, you can
Mhm.
piece this together perfectly. Like, I'm like, excited. I saw that. That's the first thing. I was like, God damn it, D! Everybody watch this damn show.
Stop complaining about it. Just watch it. Stop asking so many fucking questions and shit. Why is it
Yeah.
in black and white? Why are they doing these episodes? Man, shut up. Shut up.
Oh,
I mean, there's so many
Damn
people that are
show.
complaining about it that don't know about Marvel in general, so then they don't know the backstories of what happened with the
Just
characters in the comic book world to know the possibilities that could happen in the MCU and the
Mhm.
cinematic and, you know, television world. So they're just
Well,
like,
yeah.
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
Iron Man, and that's about it. That's all people know little tidbits of. And then
And
they
see,
want to complain about everything else.
and that's why those work. Like Spider-Man, we didn't have to retread. Everybody knows Uncle Ben's dead. And we know how he gets his powers. This is building a whole different, universe with characters that not many people know unless you love comics or you love the character already. And that's why people are like, "Oh, I don't know what the hell's going on." Just watch this episode. Just watch it. Just watch it.
Mhm.
This dude, Feige's a fucking genius. Nothing has gone wrong so far after 22 movies. Like, give it some damn time. Calm down.
Yeah, definitely brave of him, to say this is going to be 3 episodes of you not really knowing what's going on. And we still don't. I mean, we know how it all got set up, but it still begs the question, why is Wanda doing this? Is it because
Is she
she's
really still the villain?
traumatized? Right. Or is it because there's another villain at play here making her do it? So you mentioned the
I'm still at the
comics.
point of she's done cracked and she lost everything, and this is, you know, her having some semblance of normal.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point, because people are online like, why is she doing this? There has to be somebody at play. She came back in Endgame and she was fine. And everybody's like, you do realize she came back, had to jump into a fight for her fucking life. And then after that's done, now she has time to grieve and everything can hit her. And with her kind of powers, she can go nuts because of that. Like, once everything settles in.
Yeah, well, not only that, but it's like, oh, great, Spider-Man's back from the dead, and Doctor Strange. Oh, everyone's got all their loved ones. Wonderful. Where's my brother? No, he's dead. Okay. Vision. Where? Also still, dead. So not only did she go through the loss, but everyone around her is like, oh, happy day, we've got our loved ones back. Look at that. Well,
And she wasn't
not Wanda.
really like she wasn't in with the rest of the group either, you know. Before
Mm-hmm.
this, her and Vision were off on their own and they were being monitored.
Mm-hmm.
So that was who she was attached to.
And they were
Right.
remember, if I remember correct, they were contemplating running away completely with each other, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before they got attacked.
Which was sad because he mentioned that kind of in this episode where he's like, Wanda, we can just go wherever we want. And she's like, no, we can't. It's like, oh boy.
I wonder if we'll see Quicksilver as a cameo. That would be pretty sweet.
Quicksilver's got to come back. It was really dumb. And I like Age of Ultron, and I know that's kind of one of the stepchildren of the Avengers movies there, but I do like Ultron, but I don't like them killing that character off. Like, he's not a character that should just not be there. I don't know. I know there was a whole Fox X-Men thing, and everyone liked the Fox Quicksilver more, but I don't know. That was
I
a
liked
dumb.
ours. I just think he was more natural at what he was supposed to be as a character.
Mm.
You would know better than me, being an X-Men fan. Like the other one with the whole disco-y and glasses, and the effects were cool.
Yeah. I agree. I think the Marvel one was probably more like him. But you're right. But the Fox one, the effects were cool. The character was funnier. So
Because people
I
that
don't
don't know the comics are the ones
Right.
that probably liked him.
All right. So anyone else? Any other thoughts on Wanda before we move on here in our time with Marvel?
One thing that was good about the build up, especially with well, I mean, it included everybody. You had Darcy in there. You had the other Sword agents. You
Mhm.
got Monica and things like that. So to me, as far as like world building and stuff like that, like this was Marvel kind of showing you, trying to get you to remember like who you fucking with right now.
Right.
You're
Right.
not playing with a little ragtag little company that doesn't know how to tell a story. That's why when it comes to people kind of understanding where the story is kind of leading you, just be quiet and watch. Just watch it.
Yeah.
And it'll tell you, I promise.
If you're tired, be quiet and go to sleep. Oh,
Like, if this show sticks to landing, I am going to be more excited for Doctor Strange 2 than ever.
all right. Well, get ready to be more excited because I think we're there. I'm digging it. I appreciate what they're doing and the patience they're showing and the just stuff that they're willing to explore. All right. So, yeah, comic books, X-Men. That's my bag. Let's talk about that a little bit. So, the X of Swords event really wasn't that great. And the
Did
books
it even contain sword fights?
A couple, but yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and that's the problem, with that is that it just was built up to this big cool sword tournament and it just came down to some silliness where that doesn't matter at all. So it's like literally you need to buy the first issue. But anyway, I digress. So the
Video
Reign
to
of
come.
X, yeah, maybe if it's even worth it at this point because kooky dukes. But so now what we're doing is we're doing the Dawn of X, and it's been decided that the X-Men are going to be democratically voted in. The mutants of Krakoa are now going to vote on who the X-Men should be. Kind of a cool concept. I think that's a way that you can keep the team fresh by saying, hey, it's only, we're changing because there's so many mutants. The fan base for the X-Men is so diverse. Their fans are so passionate that, hey, I think that's a pretty good mechanism. There you go. To take it one further, Marvel has decided that it is going to let the fans decide who the last member of the X-Men is going to be. If you visit marvel.com/X-Men vote, you can cast your vote for 10 candidates. Those candidates are Armor, Banshee, Boom Boom, Cannonball, Forge, Marrow, Polaris, Strong Guy, Sunspot, Tempo, and there we go. I personally voted for Polaris. She's one of Magneto's daughters. I think even now that they retconned that Wanda wasn't one of Magneto's daughters, she still remains, I believe.
That can change.
That's most certainly can change. So that's a fun little thing. That doesn't happen much. It doesn't happen much that in comic books, the fans get to vote on something that happens in the comics. To me, the most famous instance of that would be when DC Comics let people vote on whether Joker should kill the second Robin or not. And of course, the fans famously voted for them to kill, I believe, Tim Drake, was it? Or the Red Hood guy.
Jason Todd.
Jason Todd, that's right. So that's why Jason Todd was killed, because the fans voted them to do so. So now, if you go to that website, you can vote and, yeah, possibly get your person on the X-Men. Unfortunately, the unfortunate, ugly underbelly of this whole thing is that, so Marvel did a tweet where they updated on basically who was winning. Turns out Polaris is winning. And people are just sniping at each other left and right because they're not happy about that. I see people on Twitter, oh, it's just everybody that likes that crappy television show Gifted, which of course is a Fox television show about mutants, and one of the main characters is Lorna Dane, Polaris. I didn't like that show. I still voted for her. But it's just so ridiculous. Like, they're fighting over, again, I would expect some campaigning. That's fine. That's fun. But to then say, like, you should pick Morrow because there's not enough Morlock representation in the X-Men. Or, you know, I don't know. It just got way uglier than I expected it to be, although dumb of me. And I just plead everyone, let's go back to where we just celebrate liking comics together, and you don't have to hate on everything that isn't exactly the way you want it to be. But
You know, out of the characters, I can say I really don't know any of them besides Marrow and Sunspot and Polaris. The rest of them I'm not personally familiar with, and the only reason I know who Marrow is because she was in one of the Marvel vs. Capcoms.
Did
and I
you
played
see
as her.
Yes.
X-Men First
Yes.
Class? Jelly?
What?
Did you see X-Men First Class?
No. Maybe? Did I?
The
What one is
reboots?
that one?
it had
With the younger
Sebastian
guy.
Shaw, played by Kevin Bacon.
You're gonna listing actors. I don't know actors.
Oh, okay. I thought everybody knows Kevin Bacon. Have you ever heard that game, like 3 Degrees from Kevin Bacon? Everybody's
6 degrees separation.
Everybody references that, and I know the reference,
yeah.
and I know
but
that
Kevin-
everybody says that, but I don't know who the actual guy is.
Footloose. Okay, all right, gotcha.
I don't know what Footloose is.
You've heard the song though, right? Footloose.
Yes.
Okay. It was actually made for a movie with. But I was
know
gonna
it's a
get
movie, but I haven't watched it.
Banshee was in that movie. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I know who that is now.
When he did it at the
Well,
fish, he
I
made the
do.
fish disappear. And he's like,
Mhm.
go ahead and scream, or yeah, he's like, go ahead, Banshee, scream, and you should fly. And he's like, oh, should, huh?
I didn't put that
So-
together because, well, I'm silly.
It's all
I
good.
hate.
I mean,
I love that movie, but I hate who they chose as the First Class. Nonetheless, I'm not gonna get into that.
down
we'll
that
be here.
fox rabbit hole.
We'll be here all night. Yeah. So yeah, make sure and go to the website there, and you could choose the remaining member of the X-Men. All right, so not a whole lot in regards to DC, so we'll just breeze by this real quick. Just want to mention, of course, Brian Michael Bendis. He was a writer. He did Civil War 2 and some other stuff from Marvel. Generally regarded as an okay writer, I guess. He went to DC, but now he's no longer under their contract. He doesn't have his cushy contract anymore. Something that DC is moving away from. So, Brian Bendis is no longer a DC exclusive. So we may see him do some Marvel stuff. Who knows?
I mean, it makes perfect sense since you obviously get the House of M vibe everywhere in WandaVision.
Right.
Who wrote that?
Yep, exactly. Exactly, he did. And so, yeah,
Isn't he
maybe
from
he'll come
Cleveland?
back. Brian Michael, is he from Cleveland? I don't know.
I think he's
I,
from Cleveland.
I know 8-Bit Ray. I debated 8-Bit Ray about, if Jonathan Hickman was a good writer or not. I know that not everybody likes Brian Michael Bendis, because
Cleveland, Ohio.
is that right?
Yep.
He tends to kind of destroy and deconstruct worlds, but I think, but yeah, House of M, Ultimate Spider-Man, New Avengers, Daredevil, Secret Invasion, yeah, Secret Invasion is his, and I think we're getting that in the MCU. So, yeah, maybe that's a good thing then, depending on who you ask. Again, I know some people, he did some things to the comics they enjoy, and they're not about it anymore. Yeah. And then, of course, what would an episode of Omega Level Nerds be without mentioning the Snyder Cut? So I think we got a release date here.
Shiny piece of shit.
Shiny piece of shit here. So that's going to be released in March as a 4-hour movie. Movie. I don't have an exact date though. I don't see that. Where did I just see in March. Oh, 3/18/21. Here we go.
There you go.
Got some cool images. Make that piece of shit shine up real nice. All right.
Good job, guys. Super
Good
shiny.
job.
Made it foil, holographic. Increased its worth from 20 cents to 30.
Yeah. Exactly. Some 1990s comic shit right there. All right. So let's get out of the world of comics here and talk about some other cool stuff. Unfortunately, sad news. Jeanette Mouse passes away at 39, and she is, of course, the Resident Evil Village voice actor. Of course, we touched upon the sexy vampires from that game last week, and so unfortunately, we do have sad news this week of that voice actor Jeanette Moss passes away at 39. So that's sad stuff, unfortunately, and this is crazy, but make sure you keep this in perspective. She had been struggling with colon cancer, which is actually more common in men, so that's surprising. But she also had several complications with COVID-19 last year. So,
I want to say people were dogging the shit out of her too. Not a lot, but some were. If you read
yeah,
deeper into it, she was so sick that they had to set up GoFundMe's for her medical bills. And that just shows the fucking life that we're in, where even successful actors and actresses have to reach out to people to try to fucking survive.
yeah,
Like, that
that's
is
no good.
ridiculous. And then people are like, oh, well, stop trying to do experimental drugs. And, well, when you're only given a couple years probably left of your fucking life, you're probably going to do whatever you can to live.
Sure,
Like, so it's just, yeah, I
absolutely.
saw that, and people are just fucking, oh,
Well, people on the internet, that's what you always
yeah,
got to keep in perspective. People on the internet, which is really a minority of people, but they're the
true.
ones on the internet. They're the ones everyone sees, and they can do great things, and sometimes they can do crazy shit. Like, y'all been hearing about this GameStop stock thing?
No, I never heard of it before.
Never heard of that? How the stock raises 1,000% out of nowhere? A company that's looking like it may go bankrupt soon. We've talked about that on the show. Now is a Fortune 500 company. Just because some people on Reddit said, hey, check out what we're about to do, because I know Jelly. I think we were talking about it, in the pre-show. Had a good understanding of it, but I guess they're going against these hedge fund managers that want to basically devalue GameStop, buy it up, and then
Have you
profit from
guys
it
ever seen the
after.
movie Big Short? It's got Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling.
Hubs watched it the one day, but he's more of the mathy person, which he's the one that explained everything to me of what was going on as well.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like the Big Short is a great way to kind of explain what shorting is. Um, but then at the same time, it's a good way to show how ridiculous the market is in the first place. So I think there's a lot of things that, from my point of view, that I think that people should kind of keep in mind when it comes to all this. Um, the fact that Reddit was a target for short in the first place was only due in fact because of the timing of their earnings report. The goal of or word getting out that these hedge funds were going to short the stock in order to kind of kill the company, more or less. Um, so when it comes to GameStop being, I guess, like the target of the situation or whatever, one, it was kind of lucky. Two, fuck GameStop. Like fuck GameStop.
Yeah.
Like fuck GameStop. The fact that GameStop was even in the position to even be shorted in that manner in the first place goes to show how fucking terrible GameStop. Fuck GameStop. Okay, so just had to get that out there. So there's that one factor of it. Two, the other factor of it is I see that it gets framed all the time. Gamers, saved GameStop and stuck it to the big time investors. Okay, so as far as the big time investors, yes, they did, only because they caught this. They squeezed the short. That's really the only thing, and it just so happened to be one of the memeified stocks that people
Mhm.
are uh, herded to get into because of its low entry point. So there's that part of it as well, and I guess one of the other bigger things that kind of grinds my gears about this is, so this is getting people interested in the stock market because, and this is the same thing that happened with Bitcoin a little while ago. There's this one big gain. Everybody's like, oh, I want to get in for the next big
Yeah.
gold rush. And that's how you get your money took. That's how,
Yeah.
okay, this is the way that I explain it. So Battlefront 2 was free on Epic Games at the beginning of the month. Okay, so for all of the people who, especially for like the veterans on mouse and key, they were fucking waiting for you to download that game. So as soon as you press play, they just gonna get experience out the ass, kicking you off. And then once the user level leveled out again, then they can go back to playing the game the way they were playing the game. But with all that fresh meat coming through, the market loves when you like get into these situations where you feel like you need to get into the game. They love it
Yeah.
because that's when they start eating you alive. So if you're trying to get into the game, be safe. The name of the game is buy low, sell high, not when your emotions are low and emotions are
Do it
high.
for the
That's
right
Right.
the complete
reason.
opposite of when you're supposed to be. The same thing. It's the same thing with gambling. I'm literally playing poker right now. You got to control your emotions and you lose all your wad. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that I wish that people would keep in mind, because yeah, I mean, this system is pretty stupid. The fact that the hedge fund managers have been able to get away with this for so long, and just because it happened to them, all of a sudden the game needs to be changed up. I think is just absolutely ridiculous. So what I hope this does do is get people to realize that there needs to be reformative change to how we view business, to how we view the situation, and then again, especially specifically based off of what is happening, like how people view the situation. GameStop is not saved. The company is fucked. Like the company's got a lot of problems. And if anybody wants to save those workers, they need to create a new business model that deals with games. There you go. That's how you save those employees, those workers. Good on the people that got the man, if you will, the one time. But the chances of it happening again are low unless this becomes a new game that everybody decides to play. When you do that, you know what I mean? You're gonna lose. You got to be prepared to part with that money. Just like if you're bankrolling and when you're gambling online or something like that, you got to be willing to part with that money. And if you're not, it can turn into a big thing. But when it works, you could bankrupt hedge funds. So
Well, hey,
overall, at the end of the
AMC's
day, there's
next.
a lot of things that you can do, but be careful.
AMC's
I
at
mean,
$13 a share. Buy up now.
to kind of go with what you said as
Hey,
well as
listen, we here at the Omega Level
since-
Nerds Show do not have a securities license, so just
Yeah,
be careful.
I'm not.
Do not listen to any advice as far as buying.
Except for
I'm
be
sorry.
careful. Listen to that shit.
Go ahead, Jelly. I'm sorry.
Well, ever since all the GameStop stuff has happened and whatnot, I have seen, I want to say at least 10 different people ask about stocks on my Facebook. Like, hey, how do I get into stocks? Hey, what should I buy? Hey, if you don't know anything about it, don't ask people on Facebook that probably don't know anything about it either.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
no, that's very no. If you I got money. Let's let Facebook decide where it goes. Please
Like,
seek
oh my
help.
God, these people just made some money because they did this, because they followed all these guys. I want to get into stocks too, guys.
Yeah.
No.
Well, the Facebook doctors with the corona outbreak, you really want to resort to their knowledge.
Although it would be nice if somehow we knew to invest in like hand sanitizers and masks before all this went
Right.
down, then that would be.
But
a
that's what
payday.
I'm saying. Like we just literally had members of. This is why they lost their elections. Like the Kelly Loeffler bitch in motherfucking Georgia. Sorry. But like
So-
her her husband, like her husband owns this company or is I'm sorry, these are like brokers or something, or I don't know. But when the coronavirus stuff, they had their Senate meeting or whatever, they divested their shit and saved a whole ton of money. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
they do this all the time. So what this should expose to people is that like your system is fucked. Your system is flawed. All that stuff that J100 be talking about. I know everybody's like eyes glaze over from time to time, but like this shit is real, and that's why I talk about it. So sorry, I don't make $1 million. You know what I mean? Right now, well, and that's because people don't want to pay for this. They rather pay, to listen to people lie to them. But sorry, I don't get paid $1 million. I can flex on you or whatever other, whatever you need for someone to be
Yeah.
influential in your life. But like this is the stuff that I've been talking about for a long time. Like this is what they do. This is what the system is, and if you don't like it, then you either need to understand what another way of going about it is, or learn about other ways of going about it, because continuing to do the same thing is leading us astray.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to learn about these sorts of things from white kids in their mom's basement, but that's who's getting listened to.
You can, but now, like I heard that Keemstar was like, "Oh, I think I'm going to get into financial YouTube." No, Keemstar, you are the last fucking person in the world that I would ever want to get financial fucking advice from. You sit your ass and make your little fucking bullshit drama videos, bro, before you get a lot of people hurt.
It's almost
Don't
like
do
getting
that shit.
advice from MC Hammer.
That's all YouTube is. Yeah.
Oh man, you has to be
Uh,
broke.
And they
Yeah.
kind of go back to like the GameStop, and you know how Jay said that they need to redo their business model and things of that
Oh
sort.
yeah.
With everything going to digital, and especially seeing that you can't really go out to do anything. People are buying more digital. We've seen what is it? Cyberpunk. It had the highest digital sales.
Yeah.
People are buying more digital, so me as pre-ordering anything, I always pre-ordered to get that nice little extra bit to go with my pre-order. If
Yeah,
I'm
I'm just buying
pre-ordering, I
hard
want a
drive now.
figure, I want a shirt, I want something to go with it. And that's when I stop pre-ordering and I stop buying in Game Store, when they stop giving me shit to go with my pre-order. Why am I going to pre-order
Mm.
this or buy anything from your store when I get nothing extra when I can just download it on my Xbox?
Mm-hmm. To that point,
Yeah.
though, there was an agreement where Microsoft's tossing a shit ton of money for them to actually push Xbox digital games.
Yeah. I definitely think they need to get out of the software market. Because again, software is
More
mostly.
merch, more shirts,
Yeah,
more
they need to get into
accessories,
the merch. Yep, they need like their associates need to be all
toy
like
store.
blinged out, like whatever.
Toys R Us isn't a thing anymore. Get,
Collectibles are a huge thing.
building kits, get some Gundams, some Zoids. We're nerds. We buy nerdy shit from there too.
What was the company that they bought? Geek.
Not Squad. That's Best Buy. Geek.
Think Geek. Yeah,
Think
Geek
Geek.
Think.
There you
Think
go.
Geek, Geek
Turn
Think,
your
something
fucking
like that.
stores into Think Geek. Nothing but nerd shit. Because that's
Yeah.
I think that's probably more profitable than GameStop entirely, and we're about to lose one of the what at one point was one of the awesome go-to geek companies, because this company bought it out and they're probably going to die in the next year or two.
And
Yeah.
honestly, that's what I go
Yeah,
there
let
for.
that
Is for merch.
motherfucker die, bro. Fuck GameStop.
Jay's not
Fuck-
about it at
fuck.
all.
GameStop. And I don't care if it got used temporarily as a tool to make a couple motherfuckers rich. Oh, and that was the other thing I wanted to say. But I figured I realized I was getting a little long-winded. So Wall Street buys aren't gamers. Okay?
Right.
They're not maybe that got gamers in there now, but they're not gamers. So like gamers didn't save, like I just don't like the way that the narrative is being formulated. Like that's
Because
not
they're
what this
assuming
is.
that Redditors are all gamers, therefore gamers
Yeah.
saved it.
Yeah, no.
Because they're
No, we're not.
translating Redditors as gamers when not all Redditors are gamers. A lot of people on Reddit are just shit talkers. And a lot of porn.
Right.
That face.
So- Right. If anything, these are
It's just a
just like
running blog, essentially.
financial bros, like debate bros or Bernie bros, or just like stock bros that heard it and then got some other people in it. So I'm sure that there's I guess gaming normies or whatever in the clique now, but that's not who they are. So it's so fucking
It's like
frustrating. Just
Twitter with categories. You just post under a certain category.
There is a
Right.
shit ton of gamers, but yeah. And I guarantee you most of them are probably PC gamers anyways.
You got a
I
problem.
mean,
with
I don't
PC
care
gamers?
who it is. It's just overall at the end of the day, like the way that I hear it being framed and the way that I hear it being
Mhm.
talked about
Right.
is misgiving, because it's going to get a lot of people hurt. That's not what happened. That's not how these things work. Shorting is not a normal market practice that is done. Shorting is done rarely.
It's a high
Short,
gamble.
like again, if you watched The Big Short, like even when they did that short, they had to make that up. Like it's a made up thing, but the banks are not going to take. The banks thought they were going to win, so they were going to fine. You want to give us $200 million or $1.3 billion, Michael Burry? All right, bet. All right, we'll make whatever. And then he ended up winning the bet. Made $4
It's not
billion.
about the money, it's about the message.
Right. and overall, at the end of the day, that's the main reason why he did it, was because he realized that these mortgages were bullshit, and them being lumped up into these financial vehicles were bullshit too. Well, word got out that this hedge fund was going to try to fuck over GameStop on their earnings, depending on what their earnings were. Number one, so here's the thing about it. Here's the thing about it that needs to be known. Okay, real quick. One, GameStop's earnings fucked the hedge funds in the first place. So without Wall Street buys, that hedge fund would have lost. The short squeeze of Wall Street buys is what made it hurt more, because GameStop was doing better on its own, and then they had the artificial push, which made their bet even worse. So like GameStop
Overkill.
already kind of itself, you know what I mean, in a way, for where it was at. And this little push gave them some market value. Cool, great, yes, but then they can't really like invest these funds. They can't like not invest, but what I mean is like invest it into the company. Like this money is so volatile and so loose that they just have to like hold on to it for a little bit. And if it were to last for a quarter, all right, you might see some improvements in GameStop. But if not, they're just gonna go back to the same fucking bullshit they were doing before. Fuck GameStop, okay? Fuck them. And
I
I
can't
just
argue.
wish people understood it just a tad bit better.
Yeah, fuck GameStop indeed. I certainly can't disagree with that. They fired me and still won't hire me back. Not that I ever want to go back, but I actually checked like 4 years ago, just out of curiosity, and they're like,
Really?
oh, yeah, it's just, yeah, over because I needed someone to help me do inventory and they did it off the clock, and we had a side agreement, and that's a whole big thing. So I got canned. So fuck GameStop.
They fired me too, so fuck them.
So it's not gamers, just like Jay said, it's not gamers saving GameStop. Oh, the gamers save GameStop. It's a whole other thing. These are people that are already in the market, and GameStop still sucks. Speaking,
They could do better.
yeah. Speaking of things that suck, of course, racism and sexism are on the list of things that suck. And of course, famed streamer Ninja has kind of touched base on both of those things recently. Of course, he had an interview back in 2008 where he revealed that, he actually, he would not stream with women outside of a group setting, and he recently had a interview, and they touched upon that a little bit, but then they actually talked about, racism that you can encounter when you are online. So basically, Ninja's position, as far as it comes to harassment and racism in online spaces, is of course for the parents to parent. Listen to what your kids say, when they're playing online, which I've done that too. And it's true. They will show you their true selves when they don't think you're listening, and, they're online with their buddies, and they do indeed say dumb shit. But yeah, basically suggesting that, parents be the ones that have these conversations, that he's not going to be able to be the person that can explain racism or white privilege, to your child if they're on his stream or playing the same game as him. So he took a little heat for this. I don't see why he would take heat. I think parents, I mean, am I wrong here? That should be expected. These are lessons.
I mean, I think people are kind of taking it as, you're the idol, you're what they listen to. You should tell them because, they're going to listen to their idol more than they listen to your parents. But he's kind of like, they're not my fucking kids.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Take care of your own damn squeakers.
It's a lot of the same people that bitch at like celebrities for having a voice in politics. Oh, they shouldn't do that. Do what you're supposed to do. Be your, go play basketball, go play football, shut your mouth. And yet when somebody speaks, I'm like, look, I stream, I entertain people. We'll talk about it if it comes up, but it's not my job to parent your kids. It's your job. I mean, I'm sorry, I agree. Like,
Well,
I also wouldn't want any child or any person in the world to have to suffer what the fuck Ninja thinks white privilege and white policy
right.
and all the other stuff is. There is a thing where like people don't know what the fuck they're talking about either. So, there's that aspect of it as well. I think that
Right.
just because there's a lot of other gamers that are willing to dive into the political realm or the conceptual realm, like myself, but that's just because like I know what I'm talking about, even though I play video games. And it's one of those things where, people are going to be like, oh, you play games. So, okay, does that mean that I don't know anything else? Because I do. And I'm good at it too. If people, are trying to come to a place of understanding, especially even if it doesn't, agree with everything that they believe in or whatever.
Mhm.
Like I have the ability to know what I'm talking about. Wouldn't trust Ninja with that. So the fact that he would even be viewed as someone who is supposed to have a viewpoint on that is weird in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of goes back to, sometimes parents think that the education or raising their children is something they can kind of subcontract to teachers and, figures like this. And so I do give them kudos for recognizing, because I totally agree with you, J100. Like, he doesn't know anything about this. He's not going to be the proper educator here, and he's not putting himself out to be that way. There are people that put themselves out and saying, hey, let me teach you about this. And that's where you go for this sort of thing.
Pretty much kudos to him for, saying, it's not, I'm not going to do it because, essentially he doesn't want to be responsible for, something he doesn't know about either.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know really enough to educate your kids, so don't come to me and expect me to educate them. That's not my job. I don't feel comfortable doing it. So, we kind of got to thank him for not doing it either. Like, thank you for not, trying to shove something into someone's kids, an ideal or something like that, when you don't know anything about it either. So, that's great because, he's just there for entertainment too. You're like, okay, whatever. And then to kind of touch back about the thing about him not playing games with women outside of a group. Are they trying to say that it's sexist? Because, like, in my perspective, it's just him trying to protect himself if somebody wants to be, like that. Like, say, he goes and plays with this chick, and all of a sudden she goes and says he's said some offlandish shit. Like, oh, I play with Ninja, and he said this to me. He's so, naughty. He was flirting with me, blah, blah, blah. He's probably protecting himself that way, too.
And his marriage.
It's not wrong for someone to protect themselves and stay out of situations they don't want to be in.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Now, real quick, I will be devil's advocate and say, well, yes, he's not supposed to be relied on to do this. That does not mean he should not be expected to be a good person. If he sees shit that's inappropriate, to Jay's point, call it out. But it's not his job to educate.
That's not even his responsibility. That's not even his responsibility either. Like I get where you're coming from Volsker, and like as a devil's advocate point, like I see where you're coming from, but he's already proven that he's a piece of shit with his little fucking N-word fiasco and a lot of other things. And when he gets upset and he gets angry, like he already proved. So like that's the thing about it is like the point of being a gamer is being able to skirt away from responsibility for stuff like that. And the thing that we do as a society is put someone who makes money on top of some pedestal That's the fucking problem. You put people on pedestals who tell you that they need to be on pedestals. Politicians, Ted Cruz, stuff like that. And then when they show that they're pieces of shit, then you hold them accountable for the level where they put you at. Well, Ninja never put himself on that level. Y'all put him on that level because of his audience. His audience naturally flocked to him in that manner. So y'all put him on that level, and that's a level that I've never seen that he was even supposed to be responsible for in the first place. Ninja is not someone I don't know. Maybe I'm just a boomer and like I don't see the value in a streamer like him, but that's my opinion. You know what I mean? Like I don't care what you do what you do. But because he played a game that little kids flock to and that's where he made his money, all of a sudden he's a role model. Like,
right.
Oh, that's not how that works. And it's really weird that you even would make it that way. But whatever. The people who are the role models are the ones who are reaching out for that. And that's not Ninja. Me personally, I've never seen Ninja be that type.
Exactly. All right. Well, this last subject, Volsker, your time to shine here, because we're going to talk about some wrestling here a little bit as we head on to the home stretch of the show here. So, of course, I used to be a WWF, now WWE fan through the 90s, early 2000s. Kind of
get the F out. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. Puttered out there in the early 2000s. Only followed a little bit, but nonetheless, so they had a wrestling app where basically you could get this tremendous backlog of all sorts of wrestling from WWE, CW, ECW, like all this crazy backlog of cool stuff, plus all their pay-per-views and stuff were on that app. So, and if I remember correctly, it was actually considered a success when it first launched, but it must be in some sort of trouble now because the WWE is now going to the Peacock app, which is a cheaper app, right? It's cheap.
So when they originally presented WWE Network, it was they did this, like, those ads that they just shove shit down your throat all the fucking time. Like Discovery Plus is doing that shit right now. WWE did that $9.99, and they would do puns, and it would always be in there. And I mean, who wouldn't? $55 for a fucking pay-per-view or $10 a month, you get the paper.
Right.
Makes up. And then wrestling has not been what it has. And to your point, like, I follow some of the pay-per-views, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. Sometimes I'll check some of the gimmicky ones like Hell in a Cell, but I don't even watch the TVs, Raw and SmackDown anymore. Like, it's boring. But for them to do this, I think was $1 billion deal with the Peacock app. So they're basically saying our app is gone. We get $1 million to sell the rights to Peacock, and you technically can get the same benefits for $4.99 a month with ads. So it's like, what the fuck's going on here? I see, and I seen a couple things here. I feel they are in the territory now where instead of making their own product, they're in the license and franchise game where they have a product, but they're going to go for the highest bidder, and that's where they're putting that product at. Peacock wants to give us $1 billion. We'll shut down our app and shit, easy money for us. We're still going to get all that money from merchandise. We still get the shit ton from Fox and USA. So I think, eventually I feel that even their like Raw and SmackDown will probably make its way on there eventually.
Interesting.
And it wider audience. Like, it'd be smart. Like, hey, here, billions of dollars, Peacock. Now people don't have to have cable TV to watch us anymore.
Do you think
$4.99 a month?
Do you think it'll increase its popularity, or because like JD, right, who's been on the show on Superhero Speak, like he's a huge wrestling fan, but he's like down on
their product is garbage. Vince needs to get out of the way and let Triple H do what he was doing with NXT, because it's garbage.
All right. Jay, Jelly, you guys used to watch wrestling at all? Or
Sweet chin music in your face, DX,
right.
and suck it. And I wanted to suck China's titties.
Oh boy.
So
I mean, I've
The
always
Attitude
viewed
Era.
wrestling as, a fighting drama, essentially. I used to call it a man drama. I'm like, that's all that it is a man soap opera. I'm, you know, a lot of kids always seen it as, oh my god, it's real, but as you get older, you're like, it's kind of scripted. They're what they're gonna do, what's going on, etc. And I was more interested in real fighting than wrestling.
Gotcha.
And to kind of go with the price thing, I talked to my grandparents today and they were complaining to me. They're like, between cable and phone, I'm paying $190 a month. And I'm like, wow, I'm paying like 120 for like really, really good internet. Like without phone, because I got a cell phone. And on our cell phone plan, we have 5 phones.
Right.
But like, I'm like, wow. Like the only service that I actually pay for is Discovery. Because I have to watch my Dead Files. Dead Files is on
Yeah.
every Tuesday. And that's like one of my favorite shows. Because the newest season is out and it's on there. And then Hubs likes watching BattleBots. So,
Nice.
Um
Good old BattleBots.
But that's only $4.99. So it's like anything else I can find somewhere else. My bestie pays for Disney, so I watch that. My mom pays for Netflix, so I watch that. I get HBO with my phone service, HBO Max. So it's kind of like, a lot of people just don't want to pay for cable anymore because it's so expensive. So everybody does flock to these apps, and there's so many freaking apps too, though.
Yeah, I
It's
saw a
kind of like
meme where
flooded.
where all these apps, well, all that apps that people have, they're spending just as much as cable. But like you said, where we get around that is, I pay for Disney Plus and Hulu, but mom and dad's got the Netflix, Al's got the Funimation. Actually, I think, and I have to test this out, but I heard today that if I go through my DeVry school email, that I guess you can get HBO Max for free. So it's like we can all make these conglomerates where we've all got access, and I'm sure that's going to be something that gets shut down here in the next couple of years. That's going to be the next crusade. But
the one thing that they did was, Netflix, if you have the base account, only 2 accounts can watch. But if you pay the $2 more, 5 people can be logged in at the same time. So I think that's more of a thing that they would do. Like, Discovery, only 2 accounts can be logged in. And, I don't mind paying an extra $1 or 2 more so that, these 2 other people can watch it so that I can snag one of their accounts from them.
yeah.
I could see a lot of it going. I don't know if you guys have heard of VRV. So VRV is, they do like outlandish cartoons, Crunchyroll, High Dive, which they're anime cartoons, adult cartoons. You can do the $4.99 and get like the budget, or you do $9.99. You get Rooster Teeth, Crunchyroll, High Dive, I forgot what the other one is, and you get 5 channels for $10, or you'd pay like $8 a piece.
You also had to think of things like Slingo. Slingo's like cable, but internet based. And it's way, way cheaper than cable.
All right.
Spectrum tried that. It was $15. Now it's like $50 a month. It's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. All right. Great stuff.
Slingo's
Well,
like 29 or something. I don't remember. I looked at it before. I gotta look at it again.
YouTube has their own too. YouTube TV.
Everyone's got. You can get TV from anywhere now. Cable really is,
pointless.
It's a good thing that the people that sell cable also sell internet, because that's important.
Cable's for old people that don't understand internet.
Well, even then, they can just get antennas like what old people watch. If they just get the digital antennas, they can pretty much. I know my
I
dad-in-law.
have an antenna.
Yeah, I want to
I
get
get about
one.
58 channels.
Yeah.
Home Improvement plays on the one channel like all the time. There's
Nice.
like a forensic channel that has like the murder mysteries and things like that. There's a cooking channel. There's 2 or 3 cartoon channels.
Yeah.
There's like there's high school sports on one. Like there's 58 different channels on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I paid $15 for the antenna.
Yep. So cable's going bye-bye. But in the immediate future, the WWE app is going bye-bye. Will be available on the Peacock app, which is right $4.99 with commercials, $9.99 without. So there you go.
Come on, Captain, I'm a peacock. Let me fly.
Speaking of commercials, like I am completely fine with commercials for the $4.99 because we grew up with commercials.
Sure.
My
Yeah.
kids hate commercials, but
Oh, they
I'm
can't
used to
stand
them.
them. Oh yeah.
So I pay the $4.99 for Discovery with commercials because you know what? Whatever. I don't even care.
I'm fine with them, but when you pay the $9.99 or $12.99 and do the commercial free with Hulu, and some content still has commercials, even when you pay for no
Oh yeah,
commercials,
that's
that is
bullshit.
stupid.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, certain content has to
Wow.
be with commercials now,
Just
like
like
some of their
satellite
movies
radio.
and shit. Yeah,
My wife pays for satellite radio. There's still commercials on there. It's like, what the crap? I
Who?
don't know.
Why are you paying for satellite radio when you got some Pandora or some
Don't ask.
YouTube?
That's the wife's thing. I don't know what to tell you. We also got Amazon Music. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, she's silly.
Wife just
You're
likes it in the
silly.
truck. Whatevs. Whatevs.
Whatever the wife wants, she gets that.
Hey, I mean,
feel that,
she's
though.
working full time. She got her money, so I don't stress it. I don't stress it. All right. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and end the show. But before we do, let's just make sure that you know where to find all the Omega Level nerds. When, of course, you're not listening to us on the Apple Podcast app, Podbean as well, if you got that one, or watching us on the Omega Level Nerds YouTube channel. So, J100, sir, give us your particulars, sir. Where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at J100TV, youtube.com/J100TV. I'm on Twitter at J100, Instagram at J100. It's really about it. Nothing too crazy. Just, hanging in there, trying to do my thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In Jelly Rose, of course, we see you got your graphic up there, but just in case, hey,
Right there.
right there. But
So,
anywhere else?
as the graphic can say, so everyone on Podbean and wherever else we put this can here, you can find me at TikTok, at J3LLI3, Twitter, J3LLI3, ROSC 3. I forgot the ending the other time. But Jelly Rose with 3s instead of E's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on TikTok. Well, on Twitch, Patreon, you can find me at Jelly Rose. And then you can find me at jellyrose.blogspot.com, where I do some game reviews. And then you can also find me at ccteam.net, which is my team's website, which is very lovely.
Go check her out for sure. And Volsker.
yeah. So you guys can check me out on YouTube. Just type in Volsker. You'll see one of my videos. Twitter at Volsker. Instagram, I am Volsker. Facebook, Volsker. And then more importantly, here with the Omega Level Nerds.
Absolutely. You know what I like is that your and Jelly's glasses to me are like your prototypical nerdy glasses, and I just appreciate that because me and Jay obviously have no ocular problems, so we don't get to rock that look, but you guys got it going. You didn't have it on last night, or not last night, but last week, Volsker, and I meant to tell you that I'm now mandating that you always wear them.
I gotta get a new pair. These are a couple years old, but yeah.
They work
Same.
for the show. They work for the show, so don't
Here, I'll get some tape and we'll do some
Okay.
Dudley
don't
glasses.
get rid of them. But yeah, where can you find good old D Square? Well, you can of course go at D Square 72 on Twitter, which will also have a link to my YouTube. Hopefully, with your help, I can get to 100 subscribers to get a cool URL. That would definitely help. But you know what's even more important than that is going to our Omega Level Nerds YouTube. If for some reason you haven't already, please do so and subscribe to us there. And we're seeing some pretty good growth on the Twitter there, but still need a much more love there. So at Omega Level Nerds on Twitter, please go and follow that so you can see some news articles and other general malarkey by the Omega Level Nerd bot. All right, well, thank you so very much. And as always, peace and love, and we will talk to you again soon.